Our guest speaker, Sara Medina, she is a member of the board of SPI, Sociedade Portuguesa de Inovação, and she contributes to the overall management of the company, being responsible for managing activities and services in China since 2004, as well as in the Southeast Asian market. She has coordinated projects for public and private sector clients in Europe and around the world, including projects for international organizations in innovation management, technology transfer, R&D, and policy development. She also manages projects funded by the European Commission, the World Bank, and Inter-American Development Bank. Dr. Medina is an expert and international committee member for International Technology Transfer Network, in which she promotes international technology transfer and innovation cooperation in China. Dr. Medina is an invited expert at the EU SME Center in China and has provided a series of training seminars on issues regarding the Chinese market. Dr. Medina has a bachelor degree in food engineering from the College of Biotechnology in Portugal and a European master degree in food studies from 5 major European universities and a PhD degree in food and resource economics from the University of Florida. So she will talk a bit about Enrich, the European network on research and innovation centers and hubs in China, which offers unique services to European research, technology, and business organizations, connecting them to the Chinese market, aiming to trigger all of the scientific and technology collaborative potential of the Chinese market for the benefits of European research organizations and technology-based companies, including startups and SMEs, and addressing the needs and interests of its European clients in the Chinese market, and to maximize the benefits of their activities and presence in China. Under the Enrich in China network, the services include tailor-made support and technical assistance based on the specific STI needs and priorities of each organization in China. Enrich in China has established a community in different cities of China, including members, soft landing zones, and external services providers that represent local support to help the EU innovators to identify opportunities and engage in the Chinese market. Under the current pandemic, Enrich in China is triggering various types of services in a highly digitally connected approach to link with STI stakeholders, supporting different types of organizations to accelerate their own transformation. Dr. Medina will now focus on linking EU innovators to China, facilitating scientific and technologies exchanges between EU's representatives and China, and promoting networking opportunities with relevant STI stakeholders in the country. Thank you so much. You have the floor. Thank you.
It's already there. Ok.
Sim.
Ok, sem problema. Ok. So, hello everyone. Very nice to be here, and many thanks to Alberto and to Carolina for the very kind invitation, and also to really thank you so much for all the organization, the excellent organization of this conference. It's not my first time participating, so I have been already joining for a number of years, and the SPI is also very pleased to be a partner within this conference. Many thanks to Carmen for the very kind introduction. So we have met already, I think, many years ago. So it's very nice to see you again and to reconnect here in the conference. So I'll be talking about Enriching China. That's basically an initiative that started as a project funded under the Horizon 2020, for who is not very familiar with, is a program within the European Commission, within the Directorate General of Research and Innovation. And it's already finished. And now the new program is called Horizon Europe. Our Horizon Europe has about 100 billion euros available from funding for basically cooperation among different countries as well. So it also has a lot of calls available in terms of cooperation with the different African countries. As we have here so many African representatives, there are specific calls also to Africa. We are also involved in a project called Enriching Africa. That's basically building a network of startups and entrepreneurs and business incubators from different European countries with different African countries. So if you are interested, you can talk to me in the end, and I can also give you more information about this platform. So regarding the European Commission, there are also other programs also involving Brazil. We are also involved in another initiative called Enriching Latin America that involves cooperation Europe-Latin America. So if you are from Brazil, you can also talk to me, and we can also discuss how we can cooperate in terms of linking startups and entrepreneurs and business incubators from Europe with Latin American countries. Regarding China, so this started as a project, is right now an initiative coordinated by SPI, and the aim is to link different types of organizations from the business, from the research, and from the innovation side, from different European countries, but not only from Europe. We can also link from Brazil, also from different African countries with China. So basically it's a platform to connect in terms of research, development, science, technology, and innovation. See if I can do this right. Okay. So in terms of what we have achieved so far, so we have been organizing many webinars. Right now, we are going to have another webinar on December 15. So you can also register to receive this information. And these webinars, they really have speakers from Europe, speakers from China, and they talk about innovation, about research and development, how you can also soft learn in China, how you can connect with different organizations that can provide incubation space. We also ran different types of workshops, also one-to-one consultancy, and then also provide different types of training for Europeans that want to internationalize to the Chinese markets. And this is across basically all the European countries and also non-European countries. So in this slide, you can see our community. So we have a community that is composed of members, soft landing zones, and external service providers. And we also have regional hubs. So to become a member, you can have privileged access to our network of contacts, both in Europe, also in China, and also in other parts of the world. Then you can also become an external service provider if you have a specific technology that is able to complement what Enriching China is already able to offer. And also to become a soft landing zone if you are in China, if you have incubation space that can host the non-Chinese for different time periods, and you have also technology agreements with universities and research centers. Regional hubs, then they have special agreements with the governments. So in this slide, you can see the different regions where we already have basically networks in China and really strong agreements with the local governments in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Nanjing, in Shenzhen, that is south of China, very close to Hong Kong, and also not too far from Macau. And in these regions, also Hangzhou, that is very close to Shanghai. So in these regions, we have privileged access, and we can also have direct access to funding opportunities. So there is funding available for all of you. If you want to do business in China, the local governments are able to support interesting startups and interesting SMEs. So here you have a more in-depth description of the different soft landing zones that we have in China. For instance, in Shanghai, we have an agreement with FIN2021. That's a specific incubator that has support from the Finnish government. In Nanjing is linked with Stuttgart. And then we also have in Beijing more focused on 3D printing. So here you can see the two regional hubs. One is in Shenzhen. In Shenzhen was supposed to happen now in November, the China High Tech Fair got postponed last minute due to the virus. And we already were able to recruit quite a number of exhibitors to have a free space to present their products to the Chinese counterparts. So as the fair still did not happen, if you are still interested in having a free exhibitor, a free booth, you can contact me and we can get your application to have a free booth in the China High Tech Fair. It's one of the most dynamic worldwide fairs. I have been there quite a number of times. It's really huge. You have a lot of possibilities to have great interactions with the Chinese organizations. The other hub that we have is located in Hangzhou and also with very close relations and strong links with the University of Hangzhou. That's apart from being a very nice university, is also a very pretty city. So in terms of our newest partners, we have Civita. Civita is an organization that is located in Lithuania. They also have an office in Belgrade. They are also very strong in Horizon Europe and the Horizon 2020 projects. We also have the Netherlands Innovation Center, and then we also have an organization directly from Slovenia that is linked also with a technology park. So this is a concrete example of already a success case. In this case is a German engineering company. This gentleman, Marius, he used to work for Siemens for quite a number of years. Then he started having a strong interest in the China market. He joined one of our tours to Beijing, Qingdao, and Chengdu. In 2017, and through there he was able to establish strong agreements with a Chinese partner, and he has right now an office in Jinan in mainland China. Another concrete example is a webinar that was recently co-hosted with the Foreign Organizations Office Center, and through there we were able to present concrete opportunities of funding that they have in the region. So these are our upcoming activities. So we are going to have on December 2nd, the Sino-Europe Health Collaboration Week. This is together with another project from the European Commission, the CNET, that is focused on collaboration on the health sector between Europe and China. So if you are interested in the topic, you can also register for free, and this will be 100% online. The other webinar that we are going to have is, goes too quick, is on the December 15, is to really to get a better understanding of the Chinese market. So you can also register to our webinar. And here, so went back, okay. So here you have the details of the December 15 webinar. Here you have our contacts, the WeChat as well. If you have WeChat, the email address, feel free to connect. I'll be here also through the day, and we'll be very pleased to discuss with you concrete cooperation opportunities. And many thanks again to Carmen, and many thanks again to the organization of FIN, and to Carolina and Alberto, and congratulations on the excellent organization. Many thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. So I'd like to ask the organization if Kevin is already online and if he can listen to us and speak. Kevin?
Hello, Carmen.
Good. So I can introduce you. Thank you. So Kevin Ho is the chairman and founder of ANZAC Group Company Limited. Mr. Ho, King Lun Kevin, he was born in Macau in 1975. He received a Master of Commerce degree from the University of New South Wales and a DBA degree in Business Administration from the Macau University of Science and Technology. Mr. Ho is the chairman and founder of ANZAC Group Company Limited, a real estate company, and its service commands Macau local market shares of 30%. Mr. Ho oversees the operation of the entire enterprise, formulating and implementing business strategy of ANZAC Group. Under the executive management experience from Mr. Ho, ANZAC Group has achieved an immense market credibility, penetration, and continuous growth. With his leadership, innovation, corporate social responsibility, and strategic accomplishments, Mr. Ho received several awards, including Entrepreneur Gold Award from Macau Business Award in 2016, and a special award from the Industrial and Commercial Medal of Merit from the government of the Macau Special Administrative Region in recognition for his professional actions and contributions to promote and develop industries and commerce in Macau. Mr. Ho also served as the deputy of the National People's Congress in the People's Republic of China since 2019. Thank you so much, Kevin. I'm glad you are here and looking forward to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmen. Hello to everybody in Porto. First, sadly, that I'm now in Macau, cannot join the group in presence. Hopefully, the pandemic will be over soon, so I'll be here next year, sitting right next to Carmen. Once again, I would like to thank you, Finn, for organizing this seminar and having me. It's a great honor, especially to talk about my country. The topic today is China, a world to learn and understand. Before my speech, I was listening to Dr. Medina very clearly. You have a great understanding about our country. I was born in Macau. Macau wasn't. We were back into our mainland 1999, so we are now into our 22nd year of mainland autonomy. I would like to share something about China when we say a world to learn and understand. Some perception about China. We have all talked about China having its rich history for 5,000 years. But the China that we are talking about now, the People's Republic of China, was only formed in 1949. We are only 72 years old. A lot of people will remember China as being a very poor country, a country with a lot of poverty, a country that is old. And when Dr. Medina told you about all this innovation, some might be shocked, and some may have only learned about China this few years. So all you have heard is how good innovation is, how big the country is, how the economy has grown over these years. Because of tonight, I actually found some figures that I would like to share with everybody here. When China was formed in 1949, which is 72 years ago, our GDP per capita was $23 US dollars. We have undergone many years of wars, from the Qing dynasty to the revolution, and then by 1949 we the People's Republic of China, extremely poor country. And over the course of the last 72 years, especially in 1978, we have back then Mr. Deng Xiaoping, a well-known leader, has initiated the economic reform. In 1978, back then, our GDP was merely over 12 billion US. We have ranked 10 trillion US, 15 trillion US dollars last year. Our GDP per capita has risen from $23 in 1949 to just over 11,000 US dollars. 11,000 US dollars in terms of Portugal is still well below Portugal's average. It is we have just reached the world's median capital per capita, GDP per capita. So the world's median rate is 11,000 US dollars. The reason that I want to share this with you is when people talk about my country, everybody will talk about communism, socialism. After the economic reform, we have adopted the China characteristics socialism. So we have formed, because the Communist Party and socialism is part of our constitution. In other parts of the world, the constitution will list off a lot of different states and rules that the country should bear. In our constitution, the first point in our constitution is China is a socialist country and managed by the Chinese Communist Party. So this is not when other countries will have different elections on the Western world to elect their ruling party. It is our constitution that ruled that the Chinese Communist Party is the party that's going to rule the country. But do we have democracy? Of course, we have democracy. We have other different parties. We have other different systems that will, in terms of not voting, but we will, in terms of we talk, we negotiate to come up to a mutual understanding. Then we create the different laws that govern our country. I'm not here to speak about politics. So I'm just wanting to tell you the systems that we are going is not the system that is known or clear to the Western world. But this is not a system that is not working. In fact, our system worked perfectly fine in China. It doesn't mean that it will work perfectly fine in other parts, in the States, in UK, or in Portugal. But from a country that has 1.4 billion people that lived in absolute poverty for so many years, it is our system that brought us into where we are today. If you have followed Chinese politics and economics numbers, other than GDP numbers, you will have heard by 2020, we are the first country that declared there is no more absolute poverty in our country. We first started this initiative by 2012. Over the course of 8 years, we have lifted 98 million of people from absolute poverty. So we can now declare our country with no absolute poverty. 98 million is roughly 10 times Portugal's population. Imagine in the course of 8 years, we, through our different measures, through different help from different states and different corporates, we have managed to lift 98 million of people. In terms of innovation and in terms of production, China has changed from a country that manufactured and sold to the world to a country that imports. From 2018, we have launched our Chinese International Import Expo every November. We have just had our 4th China International Import Expo earlier this month. We have shown to the world that we are now evolved from purely a manufacturing and export country to an import country with a big market that the world can import the goods to our country consumed. Other than that, I want to share 2 different industries that is well known in the world that people probably do not know the exact figures. Electric vehicles. China is leading the world in electric vehicles productions. Just only in 2021, the first half year of 2021, we have produced and sold 59% of the world's electric vehicles. So this is a huge market. I urge everybody in the floor and in the country and in our allied countries that to learn about China as a whole. Stop reading different news. Come into our country to look yourself. At the end of my introduction, I would like to share a bit about, because this is a FIN forum, our 5G trend. 5G technology is leading in China. So when the US has been claiming that we have been copying them, we are leading them by miles. China will have full 5G coverage by 2023. By 2025, 40% of the world's 5G users will be living in China. That's 500 million out of a global 1.2 billion users. So these figures will just a couple of figures, and I hope I can introduce to you a country that has evolved from a GDP per capita of $23 in 72 years. We have become a world's not a leading power, but we are now working together with the rest of the world and trying to create a harmony environment for the growth of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you. We will now have our last speaker of the panel, Mr. Marco Enriquez. In 1997, he finished the degree in nutrition and also in food engineer, and later the master in human nutrition in Barcelona. He started working in the food industry in 1998 for one of the major British groups that established in Portugal a joint venture with Sonai for retailing packing. Meanwhile, he finished an MBA in Lisbon and had the opportunity to work in the UK and in the major agro-business group in Spain, Val Companies, running export department, and managed one of the sites of the group. During several years, he developed almost all markets for pork meat and also for beef. In 2012, he went to Uruguay to manage the biggest beef slaughterhouse of South America and also carry the export department. In Argentina, he had the experience of sales of all meat commodities. In 2017, the Agrupalto e Maporal project begins, an example of vertical integration in the sector and a clearly winning export capacity. The project of Valsabor and Agrupalto Group starts with the certification of pork meat of Portugal for China, led at a governmental level between the two countries. Maporal was the first Portuguese company to export to China, and in 1 year and a half, they exported more than 100 million euros. The main goals were established to achieve brand recognition with the main structure supported by quality and service. Pork meat is a commodity, and companies must have a strong competitive profile, and the group developed a vertical structure. Atella is a special regional wine full of passion in the approach that the group brings to winery business, and it will soon be launched in the international markets. So thank you so much, Marco Enriquez, for being here, and you have the floor. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, and to congratulations to this event. I think I'll come just to share the experience of our company in Portugal, in China. But before China, there was also the other markets where we've been. And the project starts in 2017. The group is the major Portuguese agribusiness group. We are completely vertical. So we have about 65,000 sows producing pigs, 1.2, 1.3 million pigs per year. And with 2 slaughterhouses, we export to more than 50 countries. China, I already heard here people speaking about the culture of China. Well, let me say that's where who wants to go to China is where we should start. Even before thinking about China, I contracted a person, a Chinese person. And after that, because the meat have some specific conditions to be exported, it was between Portugal and the China government that we started relations. And after that is a question of being in the market and respect the market. As you just listened before of the last interview, we are not politicians. We are salespersons. So we really don't mind with the politics in China or in any other country. Just to give some ideas about the group. The first thing that we did when we went to China was to get a strong partner. And this is my recommendation to anyone that wants to go to China. We have a strong partner that help us in place in China to anything that could be needed, not only for us, but for our area, for our business, for the meat. That is very important. The relation between the two countries on the last years has been quite good and quite intensive. And it's very important that we, the companies, the entrepreneurs that wants to go to China, we should live and we should be beside the government persons, institutes, all the departments that are in the middle of this business, okay, on the meat or any other business. So the support for us was the Portuguese embassy, the Chinese embassy in Lisbon, the Ministry of Agriculture in China, also in Portugal. And that is something that the companies must be aware that we cannot be far from this. Okay, so this is very important. What was our difference when we went to the market? Pork meat is a commodity, so it's even China is the biggest producer in the world. So he produced half of the pork meat that are produced in the world. So it's not the difference is not only the meat, is the quality and is the service that we did it. One of the biggest achievements that we did on the last year and a half was that in the pre-pandemic, it was easily to sell the meat. During the pandemic, a little bit more complicated. But during the pandemic, Spain and the China's organization did a survey about the quality of the meat that China was importing. And what was good for us to know is that Portugal get the second best place among USA, Germany, and all the other countries. So it's in 1 year and a half, and almost 100% of the sales from Portugal was made by Maporal. So that was quite a good achievement. What I would like also to express about China, communication in China or being in China is not the same like in the other countries. Before the pandemic, I was living 6 months per year in China, so the presence to be there is top important. So it's not a phone call that make the approach with the customers. It's not the email. It's really important to be present. Chinese they like to share moments. They like to share the business. So it's important to be there. About our group, and because we are completely vertical, all the group we have several companies that support the quality. So we have the control of all the line, since the piglet, the sauce, the piglets, and the final meat, and this is recognized by the end customers. And China, more and more, that increase the quality demand, gives special attention to this. So it's very important to keep that in mind. About our group, that beside we have pork, we also have wine. So Quinta da Atel is our winery. It's more than 100 hectares, and we still didn't approach the Chinese market with the wine. It will be the follow step, and very soon, I suppose. But it's important just to pass the message that Chinese market is completely different. You must be there. You must be present. It was a good experience for us, for the group, and for Portugal to be recognized. And for our industry and for our economy is very important, the capacity of absorption that China have to buy this kind of commodities. Thank you very much.
Marco, so we finished our presentations, and before I make any comments, I'd like to know from all of you that are attending this seminar, this panel, I suppose you also have this kind of experiences with the Chinese market and dealing and making business with the Chinese culture. And if you would like to share some of these experiences and recommendations, such as the ones that briefly mentioned before, and or if you have any questions for our speakers. I think there is someone with the micro. Yes? Any questions from the participants? I cannot see you with the lights. Yes, there is one question here. Who has the microphone? Thank you. I kindly ask you to introduce yourself and before you make the question, please.
Hi, Larry Moffat with on the advisory board of Jeune. I have a question about intellectual property rights. I know that causes some concern for companies that want to do business in China. Do you support in that European program? Do you provide legal advice on that? And is it a concern that is perhaps exaggerated or not?
It's working? Okay. Many thanks for the question. IPR issues are indeed a very kind of hot topic already for many years when companies want to really do business with China. From the European Commission perspective, they have implemented several IPR help desks. So there is the IPR help desk in China. At Enriching China, we have very strong connections with them, and they are able to help SMEs and startups and also big companies from Europe on all types of IPR issues dealing with China. Everything is free, so they have an online website, and you can ask the questions also online, and they have experts that are able to answer the questions within a very short time frame. And they also organize different types of webinars and workshops with clarifications on IPR issues. So they really do an excellent job. They have been in the market in place for a long time. So they have very strong experts, mainly from Europe, that have lived in China and that really know about the Chinese market. So indeed, IPR issues continue to be a hot topic, and it's very important that when the companies are thinking about doing business with China, they really are concerned about IPR and they know where to get support. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, and thank you for your question. So the next question, anyone else that would like to make some questions or comments? No? Okay, so maybe I can take the opportunity of being here to make some comments myself and to ask some questions to the three of our speakers. And meanwhile, if you decide to make some question, please let me know. I think that the Chinese culture is really very different from Western culture and the Portuguese culture in particular. And that when we do business with China, we really have to consider some of the cultural behavior of the Chinese people. Otherwise, it will never work out. Basic issues that we may just even small things that we may think that it's not so important, it will make a huge difference in getting the business done or not. So I think that maybe Kevin from the Chinese perspective and our speakers from the Portuguese perspective maybe give some of these examples, maybe for some of our participants that don't have the experience yet of dealing with these cross-cultural business challenges, or those that want to enter the Chinese market and still have some questions. Although I think they understood that it would be very useful to talk with Sarah after this. But still, maybe you would like to make some comments on what you think that is really important in this cultural approach and the care that we must have in this personal relationship, because we come from different negotiation, completely different negotiation behavior. For the Chinese, the context, the long-term relationship is so much important. Signing quickly a contract that may never get a medium to long-term result. And from the Portuguese mentality, we always think that we are wasting so much time with these banquets and sightseeing visits and exchanging gifts and, you know, making these people trust us. But in the end, it is extremely important. So Kevin, would you like to start with some comments on this, please?
Thank you, Carmen. I think to start off with, it is if you go into another country trying to do business, be it China or any parts of the world, you first need to know its culture, and you need if you go into the country thinking you can just go in and sell, not let alone China, you will fail in any other parts of the world. You may in Portugal, if you're Portuguese going into Spain, nearby countries, maybe that will work. Imagine you're not going to China, but going to Thailand or Japan or Africa. You first of all, you need to know the law, and what law the country is using, the business practice, and then you start to find partners that you can do business with. Your product may be one of the best in the world, but if your customer is not there to buy it, then it's not a good product. When Carmen mentioned, when you go to the country, it is our culture that we meet friends, we build up our personal relationship because we need to build trust. If you are purely selling, then we can just purely look into your products and buy and or not to buy. But if you want to build a business there, then we will need to know whether this business is genuine. One of the floor members mentioned about IP that you have concern with. If you go into China, maybe your Chinese counterparts will have concern about your business, whether it is legitimate, whether it is worth going to China. There are a lot of people that recently, over the past few years, especially when the Western world, especially US and China, has this tension, they bring politics into the business. When we are not doing business with you, then you said it, because you are against US. I want to point out when I just mentioned the fourth International Import Expo that we have just had. Over the 4 years, US business has increased in terms of numbers coming into this expo. This year, there are 200 corporates coming into our import expo, one of the most participants in the whole expo. So when you mentioned about banquets, yes, we like to eat and maybe drink a bit. People who do business or spend 6 months in a year, you probably had a lot of white wine. But that's part of our culture that we build trust. Because if we do not trust you, how can we do business with you? This is I think one way of mentioning how this part of the world is how we do business with. Maybe in some other countries, as far as I know, in Japan, they took longer to understand you before they can do business with you. So it's not only China. I think all other countries, different countries have different cultures. If you want to tap into that country, you first have to know what required you to do before you start doing business. I hope that explains a bit about this.
Thank you, Kevin. Sure. Marco, do you like to add something, please?
Oh, yeah. One important thing is I travel almost every week, and I work with all continents. I export to all continents. So when I left Portugal, I left a little bit of my culture and I go in front. So if I go to China, I really understand and I'm with the Chinese. And even in China, from the north to the south, is quite different, the people. So you have to accept, you have to enjoy it. It's the easy way. Of course, dinner and drink is something that in China is important. So it's a big test. In other countries, like in Russia, also the same. But in other in Europe, for example, is the business are faster. But it's not because of that that I will not go to China. I understand the Chinese, and before even start talking about the business, we spend 2 or 3 days just eating and drinking, because this is typical, and they like it. They like to share. The Chinese, they like to share with us their moments, and they give us the best that they have. So we need to understand that. If you go to Africa, it's the same, not with the same quality, but it's important that. Other thing important is what is the quality for each country. And even in the same country, quality seen by the customers is quite different. So when we go to these countries, it's important to understand that for one person, the quality have a certain level, but for others, he doesn't mind. So, and also that happens in China from the north to the south.
Many thanks for the question. I think the Chinese culture is really quite unique. So I think, of course, trust, I think was already mentioned here a lot by Kevin and by Marco, is very, very important. And you really need to develop personal relationships with the Chinese. So I have been to China now more than 60 times since 2004. And I still remember the first time I went to China, that I went there to meet a park, a technology park, the Haidian Science Park. It's a well-recognized park in Beijing, in Zhongguancun. And there I wanted to already explore business opportunities. And they said, no, stop, first we have to go for lunch. First we have to get to know each other. And they were asking things about Portugal, about Putaya, it's Portugal in Chinese. They were asking things about the family, really to try to get to know the person. And just after that, they started really developing relationships business-wise. And after probably a couple of years, we were able to establish a very strong agreement with them. And we even got a prize from them in terms of helping European companies and Portuguese companies on the internationalization process to China. So trust is really essential. To find the right partner, like Marco has already mentioned, it's really strategic. So you really need to find the right partner. You need to go there, meet, do many meetings until you are able to find the right Chinese partner. And this takes time. So if you think you go to China 1, 2 times, 3 times, and you find the right partner, that's not going to happen. So you need to be there every 3 months, every 4 months, or even live there for a certain time. And then you are able to develop the relationships and find the right Chinese partner after a number of years. You also need to be very pragmatic, because the Chinese, they don't like to lose time. So if you go to a meeting, you need to prepare yourself. And they really know how they can detect if you prepared yourself or if you didn't prepare. Because they have a certain time, so you need to be there on time, exactly on time. You cannot arrive 5-10 minutes late. So even with the traffic that's chaotic in Beijing, Shanghai, they always leave 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, whatever, so that you get there on time. And they have an agenda, and you need to be prepared. You need to know what you want to achieve, because they also know what they want to achieve from the meeting. And they will detect if you are not prepared. Another thing, you need to the follow-up. If they are not interested in what you are saying, forget it. You can do follow-ups, and they don't get back to you. But if they are interested, they are going to be the ones that will follow you and try to reach an agreement with you. They will even travel to your country to reach an agreement, because when they want something, they really follow until they really get it done. They are extremely fantastic, I think, in terms of planning and in terms of implementation. I think the Chinese, if they want something, they plan very well and they do everything until the implementation. I think it's probably the country worldwide that best does this. So really to understand the culture, to go there, to meet them. So I used to go to China 3-4 times a year. It's very, very important. It's crucial, even for the partners that you already know well. It's very important that you continue visiting them and continue spending time with them. Thank you.
Yes, I think doing business with China really takes time and a long investment, and probably for a Portuguese company, they shouldn't put all the eggs in the same basket, right? So China should be something that should be a medium to long-term project that should be developed without leaving the main area of the company and the main partners on the side, because it can work or it cannot work, and it will always take a long time and a long investment. I also think that Sarah did a very good sum up of how you should prepare. The perception of the Chinese, if you go alone to a meeting, is also not very positive. They always bring big delegations with a lot of people. They expect that the strong company will bring a lot of, or more than one person at least. Sometimes they play with your jet lag and if you are tired. So try to stay longer than you actually tell them that you are going to stay, because they will try to push you to finish finish agreements, signing agreements just before you go to the airport, because they know you don't want to go back without getting all that investment rewarded by some kind of contract. So there are so many books, talking about this business and behavior strategy that we can have with our Chinese counterparts to have success in business, that I really think it's a waste of time if you just go to China without knowing how to handle cards and gifts, and that you should arrive to meetings 15 minutes before the time, because they will be there before the actual time of the meeting. That preparation, like Sarah said, is really crucial. They also have a very good memory. It's impossible, these people start memorizing characters when they are 3 years old, so we can never compete with their memories. So, but try to take notes of what was said in the meetings, because maybe within 3 or 4 meetings time, they will record what you have said before and you don't even remember. So try to be very, very well organized. Otherwise, it's very difficult. But Kevin, maybe you have like the best advice to do business in China that you'd like to share with us?
I cannot stop laughing when you mentioned what you just mentioned. First of all, I arrived 10 minutes earlier today, just that my mic did not work. I was seeing everyone on stage. It's not only China that is doing what you just mentioned, and what also Sarah mentioned. Imagine in Portugal there are 10 million people. If you are one, you are on the top notch, one out of 10 million. In China, when you talk to some top notch business people, they are 1 out of 1.4 billion people. So they are more crucial, and they see more people than you, because you go in there trying to make a deal. They are right here. We are in China waiting someone to come with a deal. So when you say they will make you sign something just right before you go, this is a business tactic that not only Chinese use. If you go into other countries trying to make a deal, every deal, even with trust on, they are trying to maximize their own benefits from the deal. So I think not only doing business in China, doing business everywhere in the world, you have to be well prepared. Just that because you're in China, then you have to learn the culture, because it's a different culture than Portuguese are. For me, when I talked a lot about China, my country, Marco mentioned it very rightly. I'm from Macau. I have cultural shock sometimes when I go to do business in China. Macau is part of China, and even I have cultural shock, and even I have to adapt to their cultures. If you do business in Macau, you do not have to maybe go lunch and dinner 3 nights in a row, drink like crazy before you can start talking business. But when I go into China, it happens the same. When Dr. Medina said you started going into China in 2004, you should have experienced the difference the Chinese do business now compared to 2004. As I said in my introduction, we are now only 72 years old. We have our economic reform 40-something years ago. And imagine in year 2000 or 2004, when you first go, not only they are, they may have never heard about Portuguese. They may have never met a Westerner. So they are curious. what is happening outside the world. They may have never traveled. So the first part of the business dealings is for them to clear their curiosity, because they may have never experienced a Western person coming to do business, bringing something that they have never seen. So I think this is something that that will create this image that Chinese people like to eat and wine and to know you more about you before you can start doing business. I can tell you almost quite 100% sure, if you go into Shanghai, the most outgoing city in China, and if you think the way that you are doing business in Shandong is completely different. Shanghai is probably the same as London, Tokyo, and New York. So it depends on where you go and what business you're trying to do.
Yes, and Kevin mentioned, and Marco already mentioned that as well. China, there are many different Chinas, right? It's a continent. It's not. It's very different, one region from the other. So even you have to adjust to local specificities if you want to have success. And yes, of course, Kevin, these comments are not only for China. Usually, Asian societies have different negotiation behaviors if you compare to Western societies. But even within these big groups, we have many differences. You cannot compare the behavior of a Portuguese with the behavior of a Swedish person, for example, at the negotiation table. So the important thing really is to know the culture and also the history, especially in China. History plays a very, very extremely important role. And Kevin mentioned that in the beginning. So all the aspects of Chinese history and the evolution of the most recent history, the evolution, the economic evolution, the social evolution, taking all these people out of poverty, it really frames the way how people perceive the Communist Party. So when these foreigners arrive in China with these preconceived ideas on democracy and how the political system should work, obviously these kind of comments create some kind of nationalistic behavior in the Chinese negotiator, and it's not positive for the result of the negotiation. So try to understand Chinese politics according to the Chinese history and the social and political, social and economic context, and how people in general see the Communist Party as someone that guarantees that they will have a better life in economic terms, and that is more important than any kind of political concerns. So this is something that you will find amongst your negotiator counterparts in general. And Marco, you mentioned, and Sarah as well, that it's very important to find a strong partner. Would you like to link these with the comments, the question that was made on intellectual property rights? How can you really make sure that the partner that you are going to find doesn't cause you troubles? I know I don't want to be impolite regarding the Chinese listeners, but there is very much this idea amongst the Portuguese businessmen that if you really share your ideas with the Chinese partner, they may take it out from you, and then they will steal your business, and you will be completely disappointed in the end. How can you avoid this?
Well, let me explain before arrival on China. In any country, in any relationship in business, the good and the bad, they are everywhere. In China, it's not different. And searching the partner, what is important is that you bring it to you and you share with him. I must say that we have luck with the partner that we get. He's a person very correct. He defends ourselves. He defends our rights there. The first thing he did was to make the trademark register of our companies, and he gave that to us. So he shared with us a position, and he make us believe that he is also there to work with us. Of course, I know a lot of stories of people that they share an idea and they left the idea, they left everything. So but that can happen in any country. China is because it's bigger. You can find more not so good partners, but I must say that today, especially in commodities, it's not difficult to find a good partner. It's not difficult.
Okay, many thanks for the question. I think it's very important that when you try to find the right partner, you get also more information on this going to be the right partner. Of course, you can contact like for instance, in Portugal, there is the ICEP delegation in Beijing. You have the Portugal-China Chamber of Commerce that is also doing a great job on connections between Portugal and China. And you can also try to do some type of auditing of the Chinese partner to check who are their suppliers and contact their suppliers. Also check who are their clients, contact their clients to try to get some outside information on the reliability of the Chinese partner. Also check their website, what type of website they have, then try to understand who is behind the company. So you really need to make a lot of questions to really get to know the Chinese organization and to see if it's really a credible one, or because a lot of times you can also meet organizations that in the end are not very good for you to continue the partnership. So before you establish anything, and don't jump immediately into doing a joint venture. Like we have many cases in the past, I remember, of especially Portuguese companies, but also not only Portuguese companies that wanted to go to China and already establish a joint venture. So this is really quite risky. So you really need to get to know the partner. And this is not only in China, but in China is very important due to the culture being so different. So really study the partner before you do any moving forward in terms of doing the right partnership. But if you find the right Chinese partner, Chinese are incredible. So one of my best friends, she's Chinese. So I think to deal with the Chinese, you can really trust them. If you are able to establish a friendship with the Chinese, they are really friends for life, and they are incredible. So really, but you need to spend time there. You need to go there, meet them a lot of times. You cannot just go there one time and then don't contact them again. That doesn't work. So you need to keep a constant relationship with them, and so that they can really feel that you are that you care about them. That is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, this is totally true. When you find the right partner or the right counterpart in China, you may be friends forever. The Chinese culture has very interesting aspects, and one of them is certainly the notion of friendship, and it's very rewarding to invest in those kind of personal relationship as well, and I think this is very, very positive. So I'm not sure, Kevin, if you want to say something else before, or any other questions from our participants here or comments? Yes, Kevin?
Carmen, I think I'll just add a couple of words from to Marco and Sarah. I think I totally agree. In China, there are bad business people, and they will steal your ideas. And it happened, and it will happen again. I have no doubt. But like Marco said, it happens everywhere in the world. It's just that China is too big. When you have 5 counterparts and maybe 1 or 2 of them are bad, but when you have 5,000 counterparts, then you have 1,000 or 2,000 people are bad. So my only advice is, first of all, don't jump into the market because it's such a big market. Go into the market fully protected yourself. You have to make sure that you are well protected before you start talking to people. If you see a big market and then you start to forget everything, then your chance of being stolen, your ideas, or your chance of being cheated is much higher. It happens everywhere in the world. It doesn't only happen in China.
I think all the speakers mentioned the importance of relying in institutions for help. There are several institutions, and even both embassies are very active at the moment, helping businessmen to avoid these kind of problems, or even to resolve some of the problems that have been created, especially because they didn't pay much attention of consulting associations or organizations that know the market and can find out if that company in particular is trustable or not. So luckily now we have that support. And also, like Kevin said before, it's completely different doing business in China now than it was 20 years ago. The first time I went to China in 1999, things were completely different and the way of doing business was very different. And even with the language, now so many people is speaking English already, and it eases all that translation process. And also Portuguese delegations usually don't bring their translators from the Portuguese to the English, to the Chinese language, so English becomes really crucial. So in a way, China became a bit more westernized in the way of doing business, but many of the cultural aspects will always be there. It's a civilization, you know, and also history. It's so much part of the mindset of these people, and it's different from what we see in the West. So it's important to respect the Chinese history because sometimes if you start with some kind of conversations, you will end up with the Chinese counterpart speaking about the century of the humiliations and the guilt that Europeans have in all the Chinese people, etc. Well, maybe I should stop speaking now. If there are no more questions, maybe we can close the panel. Just say a bit about myself because no one introduced me. I'm Carmen Mendes and I'm the president of the Macau Center in Lisbon. So if you want to visit our museum, which has a very good collection on Chinese art and also on the history of the European encounters with Asia and the arrival of the Portuguese in China, please let me know. You are more than welcome. And it was very nice to chair this panel and talk with all the speakers and with the participants. So thank you so much and keep enjoying FIN. And thank you for the organizers. Excellent organization. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.